All right. It's your boy Miles J, and we're back for another episode. I'm here with Dustin Grimes. He just so happens to be the son of one of my favorite teachers of all time over there at Wexford Montessori. Shout out to Wexford. But you know, it's gonna be a good episode. I'm really glad to have Dustin in the studio. But I'm gonna go ahead and let him introduce himself. Excuse me, y'all. My voice is going crazy. So let me stop talking. Give it over to Dustin. Let's clap it up for Dustin.
Thank you. I'm Dustin Grimes. I'm a Lansing native and resident. I've been here for about 30-some years. I did take a little vacation out to the West Coast, got some knowledge, brought it back. Happy to give back to my city.
Wait. Vacation?
I went and lived in Seattle for 3 years. Kind of snuck out on some my wild 20s. Went and matured a little bit, got involved with some community spaces out there. Like I said, I wanted to buy a house, and I knew it was never going to happen out there, so I came home.
All right. So what is Lansing? What does home mean to you?
Yeah, it's that culture, it's that familiarity with something. I know how I'm going to be received and reacted to here. I know what neighborhoods people grew up in because I've been there. I just actually had this conversation with a cousin of mine who kind of moved around a lot when she was a kid, and she was like, "Wow, I never really thought about Lansing as kind of being home," because they lived here for a little while, and it's like, man, no, I was here. I went to school here. I did my first professional work here. I own a home here, and it's like that's home. It's just that familiarity. I can walk out of my front door and wander around, and I know exactly where I'm at.
Right. Okay. So tell us a little bit more about your wild 20s.
Yeah.
Tell us something important that you learned, that you brought back specifically.
Yeah. So I was working out here in East Lansing. My first professional job was at Retro Duck, kind of just across the street from where we're at right now. Okay. I thought, hey, I got a good portfolio. I love T-shirts. It's kind of what got me into design, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Absolutely.
But I said, hey, I want to go, I want to start working. I've got this, portfolio that I've built up over a number of years over at LCC. Came out here. Well, it's kind of a little wild out in East Lansing sometimes.
Yeah. And
I had this opportunity to go out to, a city that's really known for screen printing. Seattle has this really great, underground, kind of punk rock music scene. Their art scene kind of, goes into that. So it was like a cousin works for Microsoft out there and said, hey, if you ever want to transplant, I said, yup, let's do it.
Okay.
And when I was out there, I was working in print shops or doing graphic design or whatever. But even before I'd moved out there, I'd found this community center called the Vera Project. Shout out. Can't wait to go back and visit. Yeah, 2020 kind of pulled the rug out of some plans I had to go travel back there. But it was this nonprofit that was the only music venue that had youth that could come into it because the liquor laws out there are crazy. So there weren't, you think about Seattle and the grunge scene. Well, there weren't minors at any of those concerts. Right. So the liquor laws. So the city funded this community space, the Vera Project. And just, it's the little hole in the corner in the basement. They maintained a screen printing studio for bands to make their merch. Okay. And it was those kind of, I was from the commercial art scene. I was making, sorority, fraternity shirts, bar crawl shirts. I can't tell you how many of those I've designed over the years, right? Yeah. And I got out to kind of this artist community and really saw what screen printing can be for somebody and how you can really build up a little revenue base for yourself, how easy it is to do, at home in a community space. You got a storage locker that you can maintain.
Wait, real quick. This is a lot of great information, but I know a lot of people that want to start a T-shirt brand. Yeah. And you were talking about screen printing. Yep. Can you give us a little bit more information about the importance or the difference between vinyl and screen printing for those that don't know what screen printing is?
Yeah, so screen printing's really great because your upfront setup cost is kind of a one-time shot. And then you're just paying for ink. So, vinyl, you might be spending maybe $10 if you got a really elaborate kind of thing going on. You might be spending $10 plus on a design. Mm-hmm. Screen printing, you're talking cents to make a shirt, right? So you got, your big imprint, and then it's just really the ink cost. And that setup cost, man, you could go to a shop and have them make you a screen. I bet you could get that for under $50 at a number
under
of
50
places.
bucks.
Yeah, a screen burned. I bet a number of screen printing studios in the area would do that for $50.
Okay.
It's something you could DIY though. I mean, if the sun's out, you can expose a screen, or there's even other ways to kind of make your stencils. Kind of talking technical there, but it's your cost per unit. That vinyl's really easy because you got that low barrier of entry. You just want to make one. Yeah, spend your $10 or whatever, get it drop shipped to you, whatever you need to do. Shoot, find somebody with a Cricut, big into, Cricuts and some of the DIY stuff. I try to teach that.
Cricut's a vinyl cutter, by the way.
Yeah, back to the technical. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so, I really liked screen printing because it's that hands-on. There's a lot of really interesting stuff. This is something I picked up in Seattle. Of kind of the analog that you can bring into it, how you can put kind of a handmade feel on this industrial process.
Okay.
I've really tried to push myself in the stuff that I make for myself to include, hand cut shapes. If you think about that screen printing mission.
Yeah. That was a good project. That was fun.
Right? That's all analog and hands-on. We didn't need a computer for any of that. Sure, we could have amped it up maybe with a computer, but that wasn't the point, right? It was to kind of get hands-on with it. We're cutting out cardboard, we're throwing confetti on it, whatever we can do. I haven't done it yet, but I keep threatening that I'm going to do Play-Doh sculpture to make my stencil, because all we're trying to do is make that shadow.
And so Play-Doh would be perfect.
Play-Doh would be perfect. If you can't draw, can you sculpt your name in the shape?
I bet you could.
And I bet a lot of people could. It's that accessibility is really kind of what I guess the one thing that I brought back from Seattle was making this process accessible.
Oh wow, man! Hey, y'all better tap in with my boy Dustin for real. So let's go a little bit further ahead. Came back from your roaring 20s, your wild 20s.
Yes.
And you're back in East Lansing. You're working at Retro Duck.
No, so Retro Duck was before I moved out there.
Okay. When you came back.
Yep. I got a job at a fine art printer in Old Town.
Okay.
This is Capital City Repro Graphics. I kind of came on, was doing like some marketing and business management stuff. I was really into writing business plans at the time.
Okay.
And kind of, suckered the owner into, hey, this is actually what I want to do for you. He didn't listen to anything I ever said, which was, I'm always salty about it. I'll go back to him for work every now and again, but
shout out to him.
Yeah. Mark O'Dean in Chicago. But that was really great just to really, Retro Duck, I had a lot of the administrative, Excel. I'm in Excel every day. So to get to kind of apply that again to another business. And I did a really thorough study of that business that I go back to, what kind of notes was I taking?
Yeah.
What kind of, information was I gathering? And I had access to QuickBooks. What kind of reports can I run? So that was, not so much fun for the design or the production side of things, but on the other side, really getting into the numbers and what does that mean for a business was, super formative kind of at that time. Worked it on and off for him for a while and just was like, man, I need to make more money. I've got these skills kind of on more of the business admin side, and ended up getting a job with a company that does software locally. And I was their guy. I was one of 20 people that they send out to train their customers.
Okay.
So now I'm using my soft skills. I'm using the, business acumen of, hey, just can you read a spreadsheet?
Right.
Can you mess with data in a spreadsheet? And so I tell, we'll get into probably my students here in a minute now, because I'm totally different career path than any of that today.
Yeah.
But, it was that mix of the soft skills and the kind of business side that got me into, a job that was, I've never made so much money. It was uncomfortable at times. I was in spaces that
really
didn't make sense. It was something. Did that for a number of years and kind of just burnt out. I was traveling. I wasn't ever around. I wasn't, I don't think we know each other really through the Fledge, but the Fledge is a big part of, I think, definitely my life.
Right.
And being able to volunteer and give back to the community, it was just all that time got sucked up. So kind of stepped away from that, and
so basically you love home.
Yeah. One thing that Jerry over there really helped me kind of, Vera formed it coming back and meeting the Fledge. That was, one of the first things I did back here was, our value is service, really. Yeah. And that's, something I really believe. We got to be giving back to each other. if we're not going to do it, who is? And, people think Lansing sucks, and we got to be the reason that Lansing doesn't suck, right?
It doesn't.
No, that's what I mean. We got to do as much as we can to be the counter. I look at when I'm in rooms with, interesting people, it's so rare that I see kids that I went to school with. So many people left Lansing. You go to a 501 downtown,
right,
and who's left from Lansing down there anymore?
Hey. Well,
we're
doing important work.
Yes.
We're doing important work. So tell them about the work that you do now.
Yeah, so I left this software company and had put in my LinkedIn or whatever, I want to give my talents back to a Lansing institution. I think I'm going to try to leverage some of my contacts or whatever and work for Leap or somebody like that.
Right.
And a former teacher of mine, Tony Greenberg, from Eastern, reaches out, quotes me back to myself and says, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Oh man, I don't want to go work for the school district." He starts telling me about the program, and I'm like,
built for you.
Pretty much. So I teach a graphic design and print communication class at Hill. So it's a vocational class. I've got students for 3 hours a day. We get into everything from, spreadsheets to Photoshop, then to actual hands-on production.
You have students twice for 3 hours a day.
Yeah, I've got 2 3-hour sessions. And it's students from all our high schools, Lansing Capital Area Online, Sexton, Everett, Eastern. These are juniors and seniors, so they're kind of rounding out the end of their school year or their careers in high school. One fun fact: you can take my class 2 years in a row. We got about 12 of those kids this year that came back, the most that have ever come back.
That's dope.
And they'll have spent one full high school year's worth of education in my classroom. So
wow,
yeah, really proud of that one.
Hey man, let's clap it up for that, man. Let's clap it up for the kids.
Thank you.
Clap it up for the kids.
Shout out to the assistant in the class, Mike. He's a rock star. He's my foundation there. He really holds it down. Has really helped me kind of navigate the district and what.
You gotta bring Mike on the show.
Yes, you do.
Like that'd be dope.
Yeah, and he's a Lansing guy. He's an Eastern grad too. He's holding it down for Lansing and giving back. I love working with him. So
okay. So tell us a little bit more about your students, like not so much the demographic, but we met each other through entrepreneurship.
Yeah, we'll have to get into that story too.
Yeah. So, but tell me, like, how many students do you think of yours have a business or like want to start one?
Yeah. Oh man. I don't even know if I could really keep a great count of that because what does a business mean?
Right.
I'll say probably by the time everybody leaves my class after 1 year, everyone has had a customer. Everybody has had a customer.
And how many students do you have per class?
24 and like 22, so like just under 50 between the two classes.
Let's call it 46 respectively.
Sure. Yep.
46 people may or may not sell a t-shirt to somebody.
Yes. Yep.
Or more than likely will sell a t-shirt to somebody.
And it's yes. Oh yeah. T-shirts, posters, maybe they're doing a little bit of design work. And that's what I mean, everybody will have designed. I try to write my lesson plans around like real requests that our class gets. This is really what the customer's asking for. This is what we're really going to deliver. And, kids will start to see, oh, shoot, wait, I can do that? Like, that's an easy pipeline. One of my newest transfers into the class, some kids were adding kind of still through the end of the marking period or whatever.
Yeah.
Just, Ms. Grimes, I've got a customer now. My uncle's going to pay me to do X, Y, and Z. And, this is a student that, sometimes hey, got a reminder, why don't you get out of your sketchbook? We got, hands-on. This is commercial art. I know that we like the fine art, but, hey, this is what we're here to train on. And, now she's building out her little invoices.
That's what's up.
Yep. I got to get more business cards now.
Yeah.
And she's just the newest. You've seen how hungry. We call them the team. We've got 8 football players from Sexton in one class. So it gets a little rowdy. All those guys have a brand. Whether sometimes it's just a hoodie here or there.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's banners for the boosters, club t-shirts, these guys are really getting after it. And we gotta drag them along a little bit to get their spreadsheets updated, but we're getting it right.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about the equipment in the room.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it, I know, but I feel like the people need to know what's really going on in the classroom.
Totally.
And what does that look like for the students?
Yeah, so we're like pretty lucky that we've got a pretty, I feel the way that I interpret the standard from the state is, pretty broad in what we get to do from the software and the hardware side. So we use Photoshop and Illustrator, and we've got kind of a dated version that we own. And
of what?
The Adobe products.
Okay.
So I'll introduce our software real quick. We're using Adobe products. They're a little dated because we own them, and they can get really expensive. That's something I'm trying to work on right now. Okay. I'm gonna get into Canva. I've had a real come to.
Oh man, I love Canva.
Come to modernization. It was really humbling. Jerry over at the Fledge convinced me, hey man, get TikTok. Just follow, your little niche in the world. Don't wander around. Just make it really concise. And I'll tell you, within 2 days of that, I was totally rethinking not only my career, but how I'm going to present this information. And I'm like, I was up pretty late last night just messing around in Canva. Like, what can I do in Canva?
It's elite,
and it's like pretty elite. Like if you're,
this is not a commercial, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, hey, if you are thinking about graphic design right now, you at least look into Canva, because I think you
just found out about Canva, really.
I mean, well, and here's I've spent so much time in Adobe, that it's hard to step out. But I've had, here's what it was. It was kind of the confluence of being on TikTok and seeing what people are using it for and the ease. It's got built-in lesson plans. Yeah, I did some research. The final, yes, data-driven decisions.
Yes.
The final straw was some of my students were telling me I'm using Canva for X, Y, or Z. Mm-hmm. So, I've got kids that are in yearbook. They're doing Canva. Oh, gotcha. We do our presentations for such and such class in Canva.
Wow.
I'm really kind of hoping at some point, we can be a really great resource for the district to give Canva lessons. Because, everybody, pro tip, your teacher, your student out there, you got an email, you can get Canva Pro for free. So we're making.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When we come back from Thanksgiving, we're going Canva probably for 2 marking periods. We're going to do a lot of stuff.
That's dope.
In Canva.
That's dope.
It's going to bring, I've got my Photoshop Elite. They're in there. They're doing crazy stuff in Photoshop.
Yeah.
Photoshop leaves a lot of, kids behind that can't manage, kind of all the different effects and this and that. And Canva's really going to bridge that gap in quality of design. Super, super excited to bring that into the classroom here. I kind of want that break and that reset before we get into it. We've been kind of talking about it for about a month. The other thing is, though, just modern tech. It's got the AI. It's got all the, stock imagery.
I got a lot of features. I mean, photo, video. I mean, a lot.
Yeah. And, again, like I said a second ago, it's all supported by lessons. If you dig around, and I don't know if this is true for non-EDU accounts, but if you want to look up, topography basics, they've got a lesson plan in there for you.
Wow.
Yes. I mean,
I didn't know that.
I think there's hundreds. I was looking at one folder. It was just like 65 lessons on basics of design. I'm like, I'm going to shoot. These are my lesson plans for the next,
Canva's elite.
For real though. And I'm kind of, kick myself in the butt. Why did it take me this long to, was I failing the students? No, I'm not. but that's
you're
what's
a new
in my
educator,
head.
though. You're a new educator, so you're just learning.
Right. So, and you have to. And I'm really glad for that rec to get on TikTok, because I don't know if I ever would have gotten here.
So talk a little bit more about the hardware.
Production. So again, we've kind of got a wide berth. We've got everything from large format printers, direct to garment. I made this in class. This is, full color right to
oh, wow. Is that One Punch?
Oh, yeah. One Punch. Big fan.
I love One Punch.
Wanted to make something that the kids would associate with and kind of get down on. This was kind of our introduction to, how do we really build up layers to kind of tell a story, really, dive into, who that character is or what they mean in the world or whatever. So we've got that DTG. We've got laser cutters that do all sorts of cool stuff for us. We laser engrave leather patches to heat press on stuff.
Oh, wow.
We've got all sorts of dye sub merchandise, keychains, coffee mugs, tumblers, that kind of stuff. The laser engraver can do glass too.
Okay.
We have a traditional sandblast etching machine. Mm-hmm. A lot of vinyl. A lot of the kids' brands are vinyl because they like those simple shapes. You know,
Yep.
it's really easy for them to, kind of cut that out, weed it out. They've got their colorways. They love matching shoes to the colorways, something I would have never known about. And, like, Mr. Grimes, you think this one matches? And it's like,
Right.
yeah, bring the shoe in. Let's really see it up against the colorway.
That's the thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, kids, it's really funny. I wasn't ready for this last year, but prom.
Oh,
Everyone was doing something custom to get that thing to match.
Yeah,
and,
that makes sense.
That was really fun to watch. I'm super new for our viewers. I came in spring break of last year, so just kind of really 2 marking periods at this point.
Yeah.
We've got a little photo studio. I was kind of admiring, our little environment here, and it's like, oh yeah, we got some of this stuff. We're doing the right thing. I think it's really important that our kids document their brands, right? If you're going to make it in class, take those photos, get a friend to wear it, put that on your social, really show people that this isn't just my computer mock-up. This thing exists in the real world, and that's going to help you sell.
And you know what I think is like really important about everything that you're saying right now is that how many parents may not know about the type of equipment, the services, the software that are provided to their students for free in class for 3 hours. Like, designing takes a long time. So to sit there and have a space and you're being taught and you have assistants around you, like, man, that's elite in and of itself.
Yeah. And we try to bring up to students, don't get sucked into your phone. Don't get distracted by drama. I promise you, by the end of the year, I don't care how engaged you are, you're gonna wish you had gotten more done with us,
Promise.
And I swear about half the kids will admit it. Oh man, I'm gonna miss this place. We kind of try to keep the doors open. We'll let you sign up as a volunteer to come back if you kind of want to get into the studio a little bit, because we know how much this resource is worth. Because
there's nowhere else for kids to sit there and print.
No.
Period.
No.
There's nowhere, like, as an entrepreneur, there's nowhere I could pull up and be like, all right, let me just make a shirt real quick.
Well, and your kind of best option is that side hustle entrepreneur is the drop ship,
or drop ship,
right? And then you're buying your own heat press, and kind of got half the gear, and maybe you're having somebody send you the transfers, the vinyl cuts, or whatever it is. But yeah, to do all that in one spot, there's the closest thing I'd say is maybe the Fledge, and really that's kind of limited to just screen printing.
And the other thing is, you didn't mention, they have an automatic heat pressing too, right?
We've got a bunch of heat presses. We do have an auto heat press.
It's sweet. It's like worth how much is it worth?
I think it probably retailed for like $8,000 or something crazy like that.
$8,000 equipment?
Yeah, this
in high school.
Come
on, man, you got to be crazy. I mean, that's what.
You'd hate to know what the DTG or the large format printers cost.
Oh, and the large format printer, that's for the posters.
Yeah, that's for the yep.
Man, like, you can't just get that walking down the street.
No. I think the program kind of historically was doing a lot of print work for the district, and kind of through some movement and shuffling, and there was we used to have screen printing. I'm trying to bring that back. Kind of some of the production volume capabilities kind of came down. We're trying to kind of rebuild that, but I think at one point the class was doing 100 plus of merch services. So they were really busting out prints, and we're able to kind of invest in some of these really nice pieces of equipment. So it really is, there's not a studio in Lansing that looks like ours or has the experience that me and Mike have. Just
how many years of experience would you say you have?
Mike, he's got a really, not to tell his whole story, but he took the class back in the early 2000s, started hanging out as a volunteer, and got hired on about 15 years ago as the assistant for the class.
That's a story.
So he's been there. He knows the whole history of the program. He knows kids that are out now in the field doing this work from, a decade and a half ago.
Right.
He's really seen this thing grow and change. So he's been doing it for 19 years, right? You'll call it and there's a little gap between, but four, in high school, a couple years after high school, and then 15 years employed.
Wow.
I got started in 2000. I got started doing rattle cans in my mom's garage, which really harkens back to how you do your class. It always cracks me up when I see the kids doing it. So, man, that's how I made my first T-shirt. It was, hand cut stencil with a rattle can right on a polo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to count that, but I'll from Retro Duck, I started with them in 2011. It's
2023, 12 years.
Yeah, 12 years. And have been doing design for most of that, but I've been screen printing that whole time. Either as a hobby or professionally. I've done a lot.
His 19 years plus your 12 combined for what? 31? Wait, 41? 41? 41. 31.
31.
31. All right, cool.
Whoops. So yeah, a lot of knowledge there. And I think the kids really flourish because they get to see maybe my more technical business. They get to see. I'll say this: Mike's a way better designer than I am. Definitely makes stuff that the kids like more than kind of some of my simpler stuff. This is really stretching. How I like to design.
Hey, it's all right, man. You bring a lot of expertise.
Yeah.
Bring a lot of energy to the class. I know you care. So I want to ask you, what you have coming up for the students?
Yeah. We got a couple of bringing some new equipment in. We're really excited about that. That's going to kind of continue to build out our production methods. We're gearing up. It's coming up on the holiday spending season.
Right.
We talk about that quite a bit. We've got our spreadsheets. We know what our projections look like, all that kind of stuff. So we're kind of ramping up right now for a Black Friday sale. We're going to do over at the Fledge. We've got some other community partners coming in on it with us. So we're excited about that. We're probably going to make some merch for some people to also sell.
When and where for the
at the Fledge? We're going to do 11 to 5 Black Friday. So 2 Fridays from now. I don't know when this will air, but day after hopefully, Thanksgiving on the east side.
Before then, but
Oh yes.
Even
if not, you missed out.
Yeah. Even if it's not, they missed out. It's all right.
Well, and I want to, we were talking about kind of, telling parents about what goes on in the program, and I'm a little neglectful of that. I'm running around chasing a lot of things right now. We will do another sale before the holidays, probably paired up with like a parent night. I know Wexford, so you kind of mentioned my mom a little bit earlier. She's still over there. They do a holiday sale every year, and we might try to piggyback off that maybe, open up our doors one night that, we're going to have a bunch of people in the area. Just really trying to, gear up. We're going to pass out a catalog of student work here. We're getting ready to publish. So kids kind of have, they can take posters to school and hang them up and have little order forms that they can start to take orders on. Yeah, we're really trying to pair into, we kind of spent that first marking period ramping up kind of software and hardware knowledge. And now it's, kind of those applied skills on, what does that look like for a small business, taking commercial art, sell your own kind of art, that kind of stuff.
As we wrap up, man, can you tell us something that you would, a word of advice that you would give to aspiring entrepreneurs or graphic designers or anybody else in that realm?
Yeah. Document. Whether it's your, in our media, high media landscape, right? Kind of everything can be a social media post, which is at the end of the day just kind of advertising, right? You're telling your customers what you're up to. So you're just sitting in software designing. People might be interested in what's coming down the pipeline. You're actually making something. People get really hype on seeing behind that curtain, doing live printing. People love that because it's like, oh, I didn't know that's how that thing happened, right? There's a whole show, how it's made. There's a whole show about it. So I would just say, document all parts of your process. If nothing else, it's social media fodder. Best case scenario, it's that portfolio piece that's going to land you your next client.
Okay. One last thing. The clock is ticking.
Yes.
You got the cookie jar. So go ahead, grab a cookie, man, and let us know.
The famous cookies, where it all started. First, just right off, just moist. If I can use that word, I can already tell this is good. Oh yeah, that's where you want a cookie to be.
Hey, I didn't pay him to say that. Yeah, your boy, I made the cookies before I came. Try to give all my guests a cookie. Last time it wasn't on air, but make sure y'all see it right here. First hand.
Taking the rest of them home with me.
Hello, everyone. This is Joshua Southern, owner, engineer, producer here at Risky Studios. And Risky Studios, it's a place where you can be yourself. You can be creative. You can you know, make your wildest dreams come true. You know, so come join us in the heart of East Lansing. Go green, go white, go Spartans.
We're back from a quick cookie break. Wanted to kind of dive a little bit deeper into Dustin's story. So since the cookies are gone, obviously, Dustin, tell us about the cookie real quick.
Yeah, like I said, kind of the famous cookie. I've heard this story. You coming in and talking to my class a couple of times about, how you cut your teeth hustling.
Yeah.
Right? And that's, those skills from 15 years ago? 13, something like that?
Yeah, 13, 12.
Kind of come through to the future. I'm glad the brand's back. That was delicious. So
yeah, thank you.
You can bring cookies around whenever you want.
All right. By the way, home-baked fresh cookies I made before I came today. I started selling cookies when I was 13 years old in the Atlanta airport, and that's how I cut my teeth, as he said, into entrepreneurship. And so I just love making cookies. And recently on Facebook, I had said, like, if there was one thing I would have did if I followed my dreams, would be a chef. Yeah. And so baking is part of that, so that's why I did that today.
Hey, there's a culinary arts program in my school. We'll get you hooked up.
All right, cool. Appreciate that. But real quick, after our cookie break, I thought about it, and I wanted to ask you some more questions.
Oh, yeah.
What are some things that you feel like y'all need some more assistance in as far as equipment, maintenance maybe for the equipment that you already have in the classroom?
Yeah, money. We're working on that ourselves. We should have a Patreon up hopefully after the holidays. I want to kind of do for each of the high schools kind of a branded package that we'll mail out every month to kind of bring logistics, production on kind of a regular schedule. We'll be selling some of the booster programs too here pretty soon. We've got meetings coming up with the ADs, kind of continue on kind of building out some of that programming. Really, the big ask that I have is professionals in this space. We do keep an advisory board. You've been to those meetings. Yep. We're looking to interface our students with people in the sphere. So whether or not you're doing graphic design directly or you need graphic design, I've got these young, hungry kids that are looking for work, are looking for the networks. So it's you want to come talk to my class, you want to hire an intern, maybe you just have a little bit of print job or design work that you need. That would be my biggest ask for the public is, come see us. Maybe you'll link up our webpage. We do have a webpage for our program. Okay. That's getting redone right now, kind of talking about what the program is, kind of our expected outcomes, that kind of stuff. We'll have our portal for student project proposals. That'll be on there in the next couple of weeks, I'm hoping. So if you did want to get involved kind of on the looking for work side, there will be a spot for that you can come through to get us to do some work for you.
Okay. As far as when I was thinking about the equipment, I remember that you had said when last time I was in your classroom, the embroidery machine.
Yes, and so that's the those are those professionals that we need.
Okay.
So not only interfacing with the students, but we need professionals to help us maintain, skill build. I'm trying to work with, and every weekend I say this will be the weekend. I got to get over to the Lansing Makerspace.
Oh yes, I heard about them.
When they were out there on St. Joe, it was like that felt really far away, but now they're down on Alpha, just off Penn. Shout out, that's where I grew up. That's the neighborhood that I cut my teeth in. Was Penn and Mount Hope. So they're just back there, and these are high skill individuals that have some belief in community. Or that's what I would guess, just based on what they're kind of doing down there. And, that's kind of some of the high-end, CNC, 3D printing. That's really where I'm hoping to get help from them. But, yeah, if you're an embroidery repair technician or no one, that's what we need.
All right.
That's what we need.
What's the name of the machine? Do you remember?
My embroidery? No.
Okay.
No.
All right. But it's an industrial embroidery machine.
I got 2 industrial embroidery machines that need some TLC. I've kind of got somebody, through a friend of a friend of a friend. Oh, hey, we could try to, poke them. But that's a whole project in and of itself, just reaching out to that person or that individual.
All right. Any last words or anything? Oh, matter of fact, before we go into last words, we got to do a quick story about how we met.
Yes.
Because I know I said that your mom was my favorite teacher. But let's go into the backstory about how we met.
So I think you knew about me before I knew about you.
Yes.
And so how'd that happen?
Yeah. So I'll start on my end. I was doing my program, my entrepreneurship program that I have, downtown Lansing, next to the new Strange Matter on Washington. And my kids needed some food, you know. So I go over to Strange Matter and I'm asking, I'm like, hey, like, can I get a couple donuts for my kids? I got an entrepreneurship program next door. And your brother, Sam, he's like, yo, you do what for kids? And I'm like, I do entrepreneurship program. He's like, sit down, like, tell me about it. He's like, oh my gosh, like, this is great. I think you need to meet my brother. I'm like, okay, right? And so I think it was like, we had talked on the phone at that point.
It was like that day. Like that Sam moment called me right then and was like, you got to talk to this guy.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I had been teaching for not even 2 weeks at that point. I had just started teaching. It was
spring break, by the way. It was spring break.
I'm freaking exhausted. I'm like, what is even going on in my life right now? I'm trying to tell Sam, like, hey, can we set this up for some other time? I'm trying to like be just low key over spring break. They're like, no, you have to do this. I'm like, all right, tell me a little bit more. I'm like, oh, I have to do this. So yeah. I'm like, that random chance encounter is like the craziest thing to me.
Yeah, that was really random.
Because then we find out.
Yeah, at that point, how did we get to your mom at that point? How did that moment come about? Was it Sam?
I don't remember who pieced that together. I actually
I'm pretty
don't
sure it was
remember
Sam.
who pieced that together. It wasn't me, and I don't think it was
Sam.
my mom.
It was definitely Sam then, because either he texted me a picture or something, and he was like, "Guess who I'm with?" Or something. It was like something like that. Cryptic, and I'm like, oh, shoot. I'm like, and then I seen the picture and it was your mom, and I was just like, wow, like, this is crazy. Yeah. So, shout out to Miss Small, man. A lot of love for Miss Small. Favorite teacher, hands down.
My a funny story, kind of piggybacking off that, right? Wexford, her last field trip as a teacher, she's still with Wexford, but she's not a teacher. She's a facilitator for their makerspace. Her last field trip was to my first classroom.
Wow.
They brought the Wexford kids that are now at Lansing Tech over to Hill to see kind of what we had going on last year. So that was a really funny kind of, moment of like, wait, this is a time warp. The two schools are just blocks apart from each other. What, 3-4 blocks, something like that.
Literally.
So, yeah.
Yeah, man. Crazy way to, meet you. And then you came to my class, and then we had a conversation.
Well, and you had Hill kids in your class. I'd recognize like 2 or 3 of the students from not my class at that time, but I've had students now go to your youth entrepreneurial program. Yeah. But Elijah, I see him, in the halls every day.
Oh yeah. Shout out to Elijah, man. That's my dog.
Yes.
Never take losses, man.
No. That's Isaiah.
Isaiah. Wait, who we say again? Then?
Elijah.
Oh, you know what I'm thinking about? Elijah, Isaiah, my bad. Shout out to Isaiah.
Edit that part out.
Yeah, we're gonna take that out.
I had to give Isaiah his props though on his brand.
Yeah, I had to give Isaiah his props. But shout out to Eli too. He's a really good kid.
Oh yeah.
He's in the National Honor Society, so he do a lot of community service.
I think he was Sexton's homecoming king.
Yeah, he was Sexton's homecoming king.
He gets
down. Got a big dog out here, man. Yeah. Matter of fact, he said I had put him on to the Tommy's Car Wash.
Okay.
And he was like in like the Tunnel of Terror or whatever.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So pretty cool dude, man. Go to Sexton High School. But either way, I think this is just such a huge coincidence. I think our work is in synergy.
Yep.
And just a huge supporter of what you do at the school.
We love the support. We love what you do. Can't wait for the next collab.
All right. Any last words now that you would like to give the audience?
Black Friday, the Fledge, Lansing Youth Entrepreneur Showcase. Come through.
All right. Thank you. We'll see y'all next time. This is the Tap In Podcast with your boy Miles Johnson and Dustin Grimes.